Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you with a message that's been a long time coming. Nice is no longer enough. For years we've been taught to be agreeable, to accommodate, to put others before ourselves. We've smiled when we didn't feel like it, said yes when we wanted to say no, and softened our voices just to make others comfortable. But not anymore. 2025 is the year of stepping into our power. It's the year we stop seeking permission, stop dimming our light, and start showing up as our fullest, fiercest selves. Being kind is a strength, but being a pushover is not. This year, we're rewriting the rules. We're choosing confidence over compliance, boundaries over burnout, and self-respect over people-pleasing. So if you've ever felt like you were holding back, if you've ever silenced yourself to keep the peace, then today is the day you decide, no more nice girl. This is my time, this is my power, and I will own it. Are you ready? Let's go. Setting boundaries without guilt is an essential part of personal growth, self-respect, and empowerment. Many people, especially women, are conditioned to be accommodating, agreeable, and self-sacrificing, often at the expense of their own well-being. This ingrained belief that we must always be available, always say yes, and always prioritize others over ourselves can lead to exhaustion, resentment, and a loss of identity. But in 2025, it is time to shift that narrative. It is time to embrace the fact that setting boundaries is not only necessary, but also a fundamental act of self-care and self-love. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being unkind. They are about creating space for ourselves to thrive. When we set boundaries, we teach people how to treat us. If we allow ourselves to be constantly interrupted, overworked, or emotionally drained, others will continue to take advantage of our kindness. But when we make it clear that our time, energy, and emotional well-being matter, we attract healthier relationships and environments that respect our worth. One of the biggest challenges is setting boundaries, is overcoming the guilt that often accompanies it. Many of us feel guilty when we say no, as if we are letting someone down or failing in our responsibilities. But the truth is, saying no does not make us bad people. It simply means we recognize our limits and prioritize what truly matters. If we say yes to everything, we inevitably end up overcommitted, exhausted, and unable to give our best to anything. Learning to say no with confidence is a skill that requires practice, but it is one that can transform our lives, understanding that our time and our finite resources is crucial. Just as we manage our finances carefully, we must also manage our emotional and mental bandwidth. When we give too much to others without replenishing ourselves, we deplete our reserves and suffer the consequences, whether that is burnout, anxiety, or frustration. Setting boundaries allows us to protect these resources, ensuring that we are able to function at our best. It is important to recognize that boundaries are not just about saying no to others, they are also about saying yes to ourselves. When we decline an invitation, a task, or a request that does not align with our values or well-being, we are making space for things that do. We are choosing to prioritize our peace, our health, and our happiness. Instead of seeing boundaries as restrictions, we should see them as tools that empower us to create the life we truly desire. A major part of boundary setting is effective communication. Many people struggle to set boundaries because they fear confrontation or rejection. They worry that saying no will make them seem selfish, difficult, or unkind. However, the way we communicate our boundaries can make all the difference. Using clear, assertive, and respectful language allows us to express our needs without feeling guilty. Instead of over-explaining or justifying our decisions, we can simply state them with confidence. For example, rather than saying, "I'm really sorry, but I can't help with that," we can say, "I won't be able to help with that, but I hope you find a good solution." This shifts the focus from guilt to clarity. We do not owe anyone an elaborate excuse for prioritizing ourselves. The more we practice this kind of communication, the more natural it becomes, and the more people learn to respect our boundaries. Another key aspect of setting boundaries is consistency. If we set boundaries once but fail to uphold them, people may not take them seriously. It is important to remain firm even when faced with resistance. Some people may test our boundaries, try to guilt trip us, or push back against our decisions. This is especially true if they are used to us always saying yes, but by standing our ground, we reinforce that our boundaries are non-negotiable. It is also important to remember that boundaries extend beyond personal relationships. They apply to work, social obligations, and even our digital lives. Many people struggle with work-life balance because they feel pressured to be constantly available. Answering emails late at night, taking on extra projects without compensation, or feeling obligated to attend every meeting can lead to burnout. Setting professional boundaries, such as defining work hours and sticking to them, helps protect our mental and emotional well-being. Socially, we may feel obligated to attend gatherings, respond to messages immediately, or maintain relationships that drain us. However, we must remember that we have the right to choose where we invest our energy. If a social interaction does not bring joy, fulfillment, or support, it is okay to step back. Protecting our peace is not rude, it is necessary. In the digital age, boundaries also extend to our online presence. Taking breaks, muting notifications, or setting limits on screen time can help us regain control over our attention and emotional state. It is perfectly acceptable to prioritize real-life experiences over digital interactions. An important realization in boundary setting is that not everyone will like it. Some people may be upset, disappointed, or even angry when we enforce our limits. That is okay. We cannot control how others react. We can only control our own actions. People who genuinely care about us will respect our boundaries, even if it takes time for them to adjust. Those who react negatively may have been benefiting from our lack of boundaries, and that is a reflection of their expectations, not our worth. A common misconception is that setting boundaries means we stop being kind or compassionate. In reality, boundaries allow us to be kinder because they prevent us from becoming resentful or overextended. When we take care of ourselves first, we are better equipped to show up for others in a meaningful way. It is not about choosing between kindness and strength. It is about balancing both. One of the most empowering things about setting boundaries is that it creates a ripple effect. When we model healthy boundaries, we inspire others to do the same. Our friends, colleagues, and even family members may begin to recognize their own need for boundaries and feel encouraged to enforce them. In this way, boundary setting becomes a form of leadership. The notion that being nice means sacrificing ourselves. It is also worth noting that setting boundaries is not a one-time event, it is an ongoing practice. As we grow and evolve, our boundaries may change. What was acceptable to us 5 years ago may no longer align with our values today. Regular self-reflection helps us identify areas where we need to reinforce or adjust our boundaries. Checking in with ourselves and asking, does this serve me? Allows us to make intentional choices that support our well-being. Ultimately, setting boundaries without guilt is about reclaiming control over our own lives. It is about understanding that we have the right to protect our time, energy, and mental health without feeling obligated to please everyone. It is about shifting from a mindset of obligation to one of empowerment. We deserve to live lives that feel good, not just lives that look good to others. There will always be challenges along the way, but the more we practice, the stronger we become. The more we assert our worth, the more we attract people and opportunities that align with our values. Setting boundaries is not just an act of self-care. It is an act of self-respect. And when we respect ourselves, the world begins to follow suit. Speaking your truth boldly is one of the most powerful things you can do to step into your full potential and claim your place in the world. Too often, people hold back their thoughts, opinions, and desires out of fear. fear of judgment, rejection, or not being liked. From an early age, many of us are conditioned to be agreeable, to keep the peace, and to avoid conflict. We are taught to soften our words, to second-guess ourselves, and to ensure that our voices do not make others uncomfortable. But the cost of silencing ourselves is far greater than the temporary discomfort of speaking up. Holding back our truth leads to frustration, resentment, and a deep disconnect from who we truly are. When we do not express ourselves fully, we deny ourselves the opportunity to be seen, heard, and valued for who we really are. Owning our voice is about more than just speaking. It is about believing that what we have to say matters. It is about trusting that our thoughts, feelings, and experiences are valid regardless of whether others agree with them. Too often, people minimize their own voices by adding disclaimers to their opinions, using phrases like, "I don't know if this makes sense," or "this may not be important, but." These small habits undermine confidence and send the message that we do not fully believe in what we are saying. Instead of shrinking, we must learn to stand firm in our words, to communicate with conviction, and to resist the urge to dilute our truth for the comfort of others. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to speaking up. Many people hesitate to share their thoughts because they worry about how they will be perceived. Will people think they are too aggressive, too opinionated? Will they be dismissed or criticized? These fears are natural, but they should not control us. The reality is that no matter what we say or do, there will always be someone who disagrees, and that is okay. The goal is not to be universally liked. The goal is to be authentic. When we speak our truth, we attract the right people into our lives. People who respect and appreciate us for who we are, rather than who we pretend to be. Another common fear is the fear of conflict. Many people avoid speaking up because they do not want to create tension or disagreement. But the truth is, disagreement is not a bad thing. Healthy discussions and differing opinions are a natural part of life. Growth happens when we are willing to engage in honest conversations, even when they are uncomfortable. Avoiding conflict at all costs does not lead to peace, it leads to suppression. Over time, suppressing our voice can manifest as frustration, anxiety, or even physical exhaustion. The more we avoid expressing ourselves, the harder it becomes to break the cycle. But when we make a habit of speaking up, we build confidence in our ability to navigate difficult conversations with grace and strength. One of the most empowering things we can do is let go of the need for external validation. If we constantly seek approval before speaking our truth, we will never feel truly free. The need for validation keeps us in a cycle of self-doubt, causing us to filter our words based on what we think others want to hear. But the truth is, we do not need permission to express ourselves. Our voice is ours to use, and we are allowed to take up space. Trusting ourselves means recognizing that our perspective is valuable, even if it is different from those around us. It means understanding that our experiences and insights contribute to the world in meaningful ways. Confidence in speaking our truth is a muscle that must be built. Over time, the more we practice, the stronger it becomes. This starts with small actions. Saying what we really think in conversations, expressing our needs without apology, and being honest about our feelings. It also means challenging the impulse to downplay our thoughts or sugarcoat our opinions. If we believe in something, we must be willing to stand by it. This does not mean being rude or dismissive of others. It means communicating with clarity and certainty. We can be both assertive and respectful. We can be both bold and compassionate. A key part of speaking our truth is setting boundaries with those who try to silence us. There will always be people who are uncomfortable with honesty, who prefer politeness over authenticity. Some may try to dismiss, belittle, or ignore our words, but their discomfort is not our burden to carry. We are not responsible for managing the emotions of those who refuse to listen. Instead of shrinking in response to resistance, we must remind ourselves that our voice is not only valid, but necessary. When we choose to remain silent, we allow others to dictate our reality. When we choose to speak, we reclaim our power. Speaking boldly is not just about verbal communication. It is about how we carry ourselves in the world. It isn't the way we present our ideas, the way we advocate for ourselves, and the way we show up in every space we enter. Body language, eye contact, and tone of voice all play a role in conveying confidence. Standing tall, making direct eye contact, and speaking with a steady voice send a message before we even finish our sentence. When we embody confidence, people take notice. They listen more closely. They take our words more seriously. There will be moments when speaking up feels risky, perhaps in a workplace setting where challenging authority could lead to pushback, or in personal relationships where honesty might create discomfort. But the alternative, staying silent, suppressing our feelings, and allowing our needs to go unmet, is far more damaging in the long run. Every time we choose to speak, we reinforce our own self-worth. We prove to ourselves that our voice matters, regardless of the outcome. Self-trust is a critical part of this journey. Many people second-guess themselves before they even open their mouths. They wonder if their opinions are right or if they are overrated. But trusting ourselves means believing that our experiences, emotions, and perspectives are real and worthy of expression. It means refusing to gaslight ourselves into silence. The more we practice self-trust, the more naturally our truth flows. Speaking boldly is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is not about dominating confidence. It is about knowing that our words hold weight and refusing to diminish them for the sake of convenience. It is about giving ourselves permission to be heard, even when our voice shakes. One of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the freedom to be unapologetically authentic. When we speak our truth without fear, we break free from the limitations that have held us back for too long. We open doors to deeper connections, greater opportunities, and a sense of inner peace that comes from knowing we are living in alignment with who we truly are. The more we embrace this freedom, the more unstoppable we become. Prioritizing yourself unapologetically is one of the most important things you can do for your growth, happiness, and overall well-being. Too often, people, especially women, are conditioned to put others first, to be caretakers, to nurture, and to ensure that everyone else's needs are met before even considering their own. Society praises selflessness while subtly shaming those who prioritize themselves, as if taking care of your own needs is an act of selfishness rather than self-respect. But in reality, putting yourself first is not about neglecting others. It is about ensuring that you are in the best possible state mentally, emotionally, and physically so that you can show up fully in all areas of life. When you prioritize yourself unapologetically, you take control of your time, energy, and happiness instead of leaving it in the hands of others. Many people struggle with the idea of putting themselves first because they have been taught that doing so others down. They fear disappointing friends, family, or colleagues, so they overextend themselves, saying yes to commitments they do not want to take on and sacrificing their own needs to keep the peace. But constantly putting others first at the expense of your well-being is not sustainable. It leads to exhaustion, burnout, resentment, and a deep-seated frustration that can eventually impact your health, relationships, and overall quality of life. Prioritizing yourself does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you recognize that you too are deserving of care, time, and energy. One of the biggest shifts required in unapologetically prioritizing yourself is letting go of guilt. Many people feel guilty when they choose themselves, as if they are doing something wrong by taking care of their own needs. This guilt often comes from years of conditioning that teaches us to associate self-care with selfishness. But the truth is, taking care of yourself allows you to be a better person in all aspects of life. When you are well rested, emotionally fulfilled, and mentally at peace, you have more to give to the world. You show up as a better friend, partner, parent, and professional because you are operating from a place of wholeness rather than depletion. Setting boundaries is a crucial part of prioritizing yourself. Without boundaries, people will continue to take as much as you are willing to give, often without realizing the toll it takes on you. Learning to say no without guilt is a powerful act of self-respect. It is understanding that your time and energy are valuable and that you do not have to say yes to everything just to please others. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, recognizing this helps shift your mindset and makes it easier to set limits on what you are willing to give and other. Important aspect of prioritizing yourself is making time for the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. Too often, people push their own passions, interests, and self-care routines to the bottom of their to-do lists because they are too busy taking care of everyone else. They tell themselves they will get to it later, but later never comes. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and before they know it, they have lost touch with the things that make them happy. Making yourself a priority means carving out time for the things that fuel your soul, whether that is pursuing a hobby, spending time in nature, reading, exercising, or simply resting without feeling guilty about it. Unapologetically putting yourself first also means surrounding yourself with people who respect and support your boundaries. Not everyone will understand your decision to prioritize yourself, and that is okay. Some people may be used to you always being available, always saying yes, and always putting their needs before your own. When you start asserting yourself and setting boundaries, some may push back or make you feel guilty, but the people who truly care about you will respect your need to take care of yourself. If someone reacts negatively to you prioritizing your well-being, it is often a sign that they benefited from your lack of boundaries in the past. Choosing yourself also means letting go of the need for external validation. Many people struggle to prioritize themselves because they are afraid of what others will think. They worry about being seen as difficult, selfish, or unkind, but living your life based on other people's expectations is a guaranteed path to frustration and dissatisfaction. The more you seek approval from others, the more power you give away. The only validation you truly need is your own. Trusting yourself and your decisions is a key part of this process. You do not need permission to take care of yourself, and you do not need to justify why your well-being matters in other. Important element of prioritizing yourself is learning to listen to your body and mind. So many people push themselves beyond their limits because they ignore the signals their bodies are giving them. They work long hours without breaks, neglect their physical health, and ignore signs of stress and exhaustion. Prioritizing yourself means recognizing when you need rest, when you need space, and when you need to step back from situations that are draining you. It means honoring your needs without waiting until you are completely burned out to take action. One of the most transformative aspects of prioritizing yourself is that it gives you the freedom to live life on your own terms. When you stop basing your decisions on what others expect of you and start doing what is best for you, you reclaim control over your life. You start making choices that align with your goals, values, and desires rather than making choices based on obligation or fear. This shift allows you to create a life that truly fulfills you, rather than one that just looks good from the outside. Prioritizing yourself unapologetically is also about recognizing your worth. Many people put themselves last because deep down they do not believe they are worthy of prioritization. They have spent so much time proving their value through what they do for others that they struggle to see their own value independent of how much they give. But your worth is not determined by how much you sacrifice for others. You are inherently valuable, and you deserve to take up space, to rest, to pursue your passions, and to be treated with the same care and consideration that you give to others. It is also important to remember that prioritizing yourself is not a one-time decision. It is an ongoing practice. Life will always be busy, and there will always be people and responsibilities demanding your time and energy. But the key is to consistently make choices that support your well-being. It means checking in with yourself regularly and asking, am I taking care of myself? Am I doing things that bring me joy? Am I setting boundaries that protect my energy? These small intentional actions add up over time and create a life where you feel balanced, fulfilled, and in control. When you prioritize yourself unapologetically, you inspire others to do the same. Many people are trapped in the cycle of overgiving, overworking, and overcommitting because they do not see another way. But when they see someone who confidently prioritizes themselves without guilt, it gives them permission to do the same. You become an example of what it looks like to live with self-respect, confidence, and purpose. You show others that it is possible to care for yourself while still being a kind and compassionate person. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it is a necessity. You deserve to feel good, to be well rested. It is not selfish to prioritize your needs. It is essential. The more you embrace this mindset, the more you will attract the peace, joy, and fulfillment that come with living life on your own terms. Embracing confidence without apology is one of the most transformative things you can do for yourself. Confidence is not about being perfect or having all the answers. It is about trusting yourself, owning your worth, and stepping into the world without constantly seeking approval. Too often, people, especially women, are conditioned to downplay their achievements, to make themselves smaller, and to avoid appearing too much. Society has long praised humility in women while rewarding confidence in men, but the truth is, confidence is not arrogance. It is not about believing you are better than others. It is about knowing that you are just as worthy, just as capable, and just as deserving of success, respect, and happiness as anyone else. One to embracing confidence is the fear of being judged. Many people hold back because they worry about what others will think. They fear being called arrogant, aggressive, or conceited. But the reality is, no matter what you do, people will always have opinions. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how you see yourself. Confidence is about shifting your focus from external validation to internal belief. It is about standing firm in who you are, regardless of whether others approve. The moment you stop seeking permission to be confident is the moment you truly begin to own your power. Confidence comes from action, not just thought. Many people wait to feel confident before they take action, but the truth is, confidence is built by doing. It is built by stepping outside of your comfort zone, by taking risks, by speaking up even when your voice shakes. Confidence grows every time you push past fear, every time you prove to yourself that you are capable. The more you act with confidence, the more natural it becomes. It is not about faking it. It is about practicing it until it becomes a part of you. A key part of confidence is self-trust. Many people second-guess themselves because they have been taught to look to others for guidance rather than trusting their own instincts. But the most successful, powerful people in the world are not necessarily the ones who have the most knowledge. They are the ones who trust themselves the most. They make decisions with certainty, they own their choices, and they move forward without constantly seeking reassurance. Learning to trust yourself means recognizing that you are capable of figuring things out. It means understanding that mistakes are part of the process and that failure does not define you. When you trust yourself, you no longer need to seek approval from others because you know that your opinion, your voice, and your choices are valid. Confidence also means taking up space, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. Too many people shrink themselves to avoid making others uncomfortable. They lower their voice. They minimize their achievements. They hesitate to assert themselves in conversations. But you have just as much right to take up space as anyone else. Owning your space means walking into a room with your head held high, speaking clearly and unapologetically, and allowing yourself to be fully present. It means understanding that you do not have to apologize for existing, for being ambitious, or for wanting more out of life. Another critical aspect of confidence is knowing your worth. People often accept less than they deserve because they do not truly believe they are worthy of more. They settle in relationships, in careers, in friendships, because they fear they are not enough. But confidence is about recognizing that you do not have to earn your worth. You already have it. You do not have to prove yourself to be deserving of respect, love, or success. The more you internalize this, the less willing you will be to tolerate anything that diminishes your value. Confident people set higher standards, and as a result, they attract better opportunities and relationships. Confidence is also reflected in the way you carry yourself. Body language plays a huge role in how others perceive you, and more importantly, in how you perceive yourself. Standing tall, making eye contact, speaking with a steady voice, all of these small actions reinforce confidence. Studies have shown that even if you do not feel confident, body language can actually shift your mindset and make you feel more self-assured. This means that by simply adjusting the way you present yourself, you can actively rewire your brain to embrace confidence more naturally. One of the most powerful ways to embrace confidence without apology is by celebrating your achievements. Too often, people downplay their successes because they do not want to seem boastful. They brush off compliments. They say things like, "Oh, it was nothing," or "I just got lucky." But confidence means owning your success. It means acknowledging the hard work, talent, and dedication that brought you to where you are. There is nothing wrong with being proud of yourself. Confidence does not mean you have to shout about your achievements all the time, but it does mean that you should never feel the need to shrink them. The more you celebrate yourself, the more natural it becomes to recognize and appreciate your own greatness. Life will always have challenges, setbacks, and obstacles, but confident people do not let failures define them. They see setbacks as lessons, as opportunities for growth, rather than as reasons to give up. They do not take rejection personally, and they do not allow temporary defeats to shake their belief in themselves. Every great success story is filled with failures along the way. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is that the successful ones keep going. They trust that they are capable of overcoming any challenge. This mindset is what sets confident people apart. One of the most liberating things about confidence is that it allows you to stop comparing yourself to others. Many people feel insecure because they are constantly measuring themselves against someone else's success, beauty, or achievements. But confidence means understanding that you are on your own path. Someone else's success does not take away from your own. There is enough success, happiness, and opportunity to go around. When you truly embrace confidence, you stop seeing others as competition and start focusing on your own journey. You recognize that your uniqueness is your power. Confidence is also about speaking up for yourself. Too many people stay silent in situations where they should assert themselves. They allow others to take credit for their work. They tolerate disrespect and they avoid advocating for their needs. But confidence means knowing that your voice deserves to be heard. It means speaking up in meetings, asking for the raise you deserve, and addressing issues directly instead of avoiding confrontation. The more you assert yourself, the more respect you command. People treat you based on the standard you set for yourself. And confident people demand to be treated with respect. One of the greatest myths about confidence is that it is something you either have or you do not. But confidence is not an inherent trait. It is a skill that can be developed. It is something that can be strengthened through practice, through mindset shifts, and through consistent action. The more you act with confidence, the more it becomes second nature. The key is to start before you feel ready, to push past self-doubt and to take bold steps even when fear is present. Embracing confidence without apology means giving yourself permission to take up space, to trust yourself, to own your achievements, and to pursue your goals without constantly seeking approval. It is about recognizing that you do not have to explain or justify your confidence to anyone. It is about understanding that confidence is not about arrogance or perfection. It is about knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. When you stop apologizing for your confidence, you unlock a new level of freedom, success, and fulfillment.